We're allowed to swear.
You're allowed. I really don't want to hit you.
You better hit.
A book.
There he is.
No skirt.
I should probably start this camera over here.
Oh, God. Hi everybody and welcome to episode 30 of Knights at the Round Table. Today we are discussing the 1982 film Tron, and I would like to start with first impressions, or general impressions rather, so who wants to go first?
Okay. I watched this actually as a kid originally, and I remember being very fascinated by the movie because of the sequence where you see all the circuitry and stuff. That was really cool, and I also really loved the light cycles. And after having watched it again and also seeing the new remake of it, I still love it, and I probably love it even more than I did when I was a kid because I understand a lot more now that I didn't know then.
It's a sequel, not a remake.
You'll live.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I saw this actually. I'm going to date myself, but in the theaters. And back then, I really enjoyed it. Then again, I liked a lot of the 80s type of movies and TV shows back then. Rewatching it now, I'm sitting there. Yes, this is very 80s. Very 80s. Yeah, okay, I recognized Bruce Boxleitner. I didn't even know he was in there. So it was kind of a really sort of interesting watch when I watched it. But otherwise, I did enjoy it. Could probably had a stronger story, I think. But it was very technological and sort of, I guess you might say, sort of the beginning of the technology age or computer type age and gaming age.
I also first saw this when I was very little. I think I mentioned in one of the Knights at the Round Table that this was on a double VHS feature that my parents had. It was The Secret of Nim, followed by Tron. And so we would always have a double billing of The Secret of Nim, followed by Tron. And I loved it as a kid, and I was watching it now, and the only note I have literally is, this is very 80s. That's the only note I mentioned, but I still like the story. And even though the graphics are horrifically dated, and the beginning of the movie is weirdly choppy and quite surreal, it still holds up as a story. It's still interesting, although some of the acting leaves a fair amount to be desired, I have to say. But it's worth the watch. I really enjoyed it. Ooh. Table's open.
Yes. We need to give a paper.
Yeah.
Or something.
Or something. Oh, too late now. Too late now.
Yep.
Commercial break.
So yeah, this starred a fairly young Jeff Bridges, who played Kevin Flynn and also the program Clue. And he's the only one I actually recognized. The other names I don't remember.
Bruce Boxleitner, he was in Scarecrow Mrs. King, if I remember right.
Babylon 5.
Babylon 5 is the big list.
And he played Tron.
And he played Tron.
Alan Bradley in Tron, and the program Tron.
Yeah. I actually had to look up the female lead, can't remember her name now.
Cindy Morgan.
Cindy Morgan.
Because I have notes.
Yes, there we go. Cindy, I had to actually look her up, and the only thing I recognized her from was Matlock.
Really? She was in Matlock?
She was in Matlock.
That is amazing.
Well then.
In about 4 or 5 episodes, at least that they listed. I'm not sure how many more she had. I think it may have been his daughter, or maybe a little later on.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, she played Lorna for the program Yori.
Yes.
Yeah. Good notes.
His notes, exactly. Okay.
Yes, I guess maybe I should do more notes next time.
Yes. Slacker.
So, I have a few points, and then, of course, I have trivia, because I like to look up trivia, it's fun. This one had a lot of trivia, but I didn't write them all down because it would take too long. So, my points were a couple of things that were kind of interesting, like one of the lines in the movie was, "Do you believe in users?" And you can kind of look at society today that we are very technologically based, and it's us that are inputting all of the the coding, the ideas, the games, just everything possible to make life easier. Do you really believe in users? And then we've got the concept of there are robots, and then there's the possibility of sentience down the road. And so Tron is kind of an interesting movie to bring that to light, because this was 1982. Computers were not so well known back then, in terms of it wasn't in everybody's houses. They didn't have cell phones. They didn't have all of these things. So it was very forward thinking, and Tron set forward a bunch of technology forth from that point. It came from Tron the movie.
Yeah, yes, I like the idea of a computer that has gained sentience enough that now it's calling the shots, even in the real world. The master, what was it? The master.
Master Control Program.
Master Control
MCP.
Program. MCP. That's, yeah, I have MCP written down. I didn't bother to what I meant.
Good thing you made notes.
Because I'm just gonna drink.
Perfect.
But yeah, I liked that idea, and it's true, because there is the possibility of computer or robotic sentience down in the future, and
Yeah.
what will they believe in? I like that the users were sort of like a religion to these programs.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Interesting concept. And when he's in the holding area before the games, one of the guys, and I forget which one, was saying, this one seems different somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was Clue. That was Clue talking to Tron,
Could be.
if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have more.
Okay.
Okay. I liked also how, with the technology, there are things that you can actually start to see today as well. The desk. The Dillinger's desk.
But then, yeah,
And-
it was a touch screen, apparently.
Yes, exactly. And it kind of brought forth Star Trek thoughts because of their... But we actually do have some things created now where you can get desks and things like that. And it's not fully out yet, but it is possible to get them now.
Yeah, it's like there's laser keypads, right?
Yeah.
We can have a laser shine down and you hit it, and because it obscures the light, that's the key that you hit. And it can be on any flat surface, you just carry the laser around with you.
Doesn't work
And
very
even
well.
then, we don't have, it may not be
Yeah.
a desk per se, but we do have touch screens, so
Yeah.
Yep.
that's the beginning of that sort of technology.
It is. It is. Also, we've really taken a lot of notes from Tron. When I say that this movie was very forward thinking, there's a line in there where he goes, "What's your name?" and the character responds, "Chrome."
I did not pick that up.
Really?
No, now I want to go back and re-watch it just so I can find Chrome.
I don't remember where it is, but it does happen. There are other lines like, "Soon computers will start thinking and people will stop."
That has been a long, long, long complaint of everyone. Ever. It's not necessarily true, but...
Sure. Yes.
Every generation, I think, says that.
Yeah.
You're probably right. I'm gonna skip that.
Although,
one
to be fair, there is a fair amount of people who don't think.
True.
Yes.
Of every generation.
Of every generation, yeah.
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 Tron, the name. There were two things that I came across. One was in the original computer language BASIC, not Visual Basic, basic, like on the Commodore where you use the tape recorders. I'm probably speaking Greek, but I actually used to know it.
Yeah.
There was a command called trace on, and so it was kind of a hybrid for that, and that was a debugging command. But then somebody also argued that it could be electronic. So, I mean, pick your poison.
You know what? Given the fact that Tron was supposed to be like a security program, I like the debugging
Yeah,
theory the best.
I agree with you.
Yeah, because he was supposed to be a badass security
Yeah.
program.
It's fun. Covered that point. Okay, the last one was kind of thanks to Matt, who is sometimes on this panel. He noticed in the cubicle this phrase that's Gort, Klaatu, Barada, Nicto. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of things. There's a whole bunch of things on this, and we went digging, and this is where like the forefront of everything is. The interpretation of what that is supposed to represent. The phrase comes from the movie The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was a 1951 classic, which was also said to put forward science fiction. I've never seen it, so I actually don't know.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it either.
So that was 30 years prior to Tron, and so people theorized what this reference is supposed to be. And so what people have said is, because there is no official translation of the phrase, a few notable attempts have been made to determine the phrase's meaning. Philosophy professor Aon J. Scoble speculates the famous phrase is part of a fail-safe feature used during diplomatic missions, whereby Gort's deadly force can be deactivated in the event the robot is undesirably triggered into a defense posture. Scoble observes that the theme has evolved into a staple of science fiction that the machines charged with protecting us from ourselves will misuse or abuse their power. In this interpretation, the phrase apparently tells Gort that Klaatu considers escalation unnecessary. And then I started looking up where these references are, and there's a lot of them. But I only highlighted a couple. In the film The Army of Darkness of the Evil Dead series, Ash has to speak similar words in order to retrieve the Necronomicon, but fails to remember it properly. Klaatu, Verada, Necktie, Nectar, Nickel, Noodle.
Klaatu, Verata. There, I said the words.
In the film Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the three of Jabba the Hutt's skiff guards reference this phrase. One guard is an alien from the Nicto species, two are from the Klaatu species, one is later given the name Woof, and another is an alien of the Klaatuian species named Barada.
As far as the story goes, it was pretty standard, I guess, for, again, even the time. I don't want to say the genre, but the time, it was a pretty standard.
Yeah.
The underdog is set to defeat the lead guy, and the lead guy is only there because he stole the underdog's work.
Yeah.
What I had issues with is Alan Bradley had problems with Kevin Flynn. They both used to date the same girl, who is Laura. And not even 10 minutes later, all three of them decide to break into their workplace to, you know, prove something to exonerate Flynn for some reason. I just, logically it made like zero sense. It went from major conflict to no conflict whatsoever. We're all cool, it's alright.
Yes.
Missing scene.
Maybe, yeah, probably.
Possibly.
Would have been nice to see some fisticuffs though. I don't know, it seemed so bizarre that Adam would go from hating Kevin's guts to best mates breaking into a facility together.
Yeah.
It didn't jive so well. But, you know, I can forgive it because story convenience. There wouldn't really be much of a plot if if that convenience didn't really happen. It'd just be Kevin breaking it by himself. Yeah, the narrative took over. From last week's episode.
Did anybody else not find the vault door ridiculous?
Yes, and actually what I really liked about the vault door is, and it has to do with the sequel that they came out with recently, is Kevin Flynn looks at the door and goes, wow, that's a big door. And in the sequel that came out recently, his kid goes, wow, that's a big door. And I watched that in a cinema and I died laughing. I was laughing so hard and everybody else was quiet. And I'm like, come on guys, original Tron, did none of you see this movie?
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then it was on the outside of the building too.
Yeah.
Cracked me up.
I know.
It looked like it should have been somewhere in the bowels of the, like, hiding the CPU or whatever it was. But no, it was on the outside of the building. That's how you got into this particular facility.
Even on that, when they go into the server room, I'm like, server rooms are not that clean. They're not that well organized. They're not anything close to that.
They are in this company.
Obviously,
The MCP
and they had no security because the MCP didn't even know some breaking into this big door.
Well, didn't Sorry,
Alan?
Nick had the key pass.
Oh, did it?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did. He had forged one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but my favorite was like the.
We've lost this camera.
That's okay. My favorite was the security guard who they're all coming in, including the guy who no longer works there who was fired, and the guard's just like, working late? Yes, okay. Pass all three on the stairs, and I'm like, wow, security guard, you are fired. Fired.
They're not fired that quickly.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
I also, one of the points that I really disliked was they were using that laser on the orange to take apart,
Digitize the orange.
yes,
And then, yeah.
and then bring it back. That was facing the computer. So when he gets digitized into this universe, this tech universe, it's like it turns and goes, oh, I'll deal with you, and I'm like, there has to be a barrier or something. It had to be in a different location for that to work.
Yeah, what bothered me was it got him, but not the back of the chair.
Yeah.
See, I didn't mind so much the convenience of the laser just being right at that particular computer station, but what got me is it didn't get any of the chair. And he should be missing like half his back if that was the case. But nope. Nope.
And we're running around the digital world in a wheelchair or something.
Or something. It'd be like that scene in... did anybody watch Doom? It's a stupid movie, but I
Doom?
love it.
No,
I love
I
it so
skipped
much.
it specifically because of...
Oh, it's just because the arc didn't quite work for one of the people, so the top of his body went one place and the bottom, his legs went to a different place. Anyway, that's kind of what I was thinking of when I saw that scene. I'm like, that doesn't work. That doesn't fly. Wrong.
I think they repeat that same thing. I think in the remake or the sequel.
Oh, I don't remember. It's been a while since I've seen the sequel. I didn't jump out.
I could make an argument that when they laser targeted something, it was actually absorbing that particular entity. So, because it hit him and not the chair, it digitized the entirety of him.
But it like old school
I know,
printer style, like erased him. So the chair should have gone too.
Yeah.
He should have arrived there in the chair at very least, right?
Yeah,
I would have less problem if he arrived in the digital world sitting down like a rolling chair going,
Okay, what happened?
yeah.
Those effects were very, very expensive.
Yes, yeah. Oh. God, I can imagine.
So I couldn't bring a chair because it just would have been too much more expensive.
Random trivia points I had.
Oh,
Random trivia point, go ahead.
I'll start with that one. It actually took 600 coordinates per 4 seconds of film that were entered by hand for the light cycle sequence. So you gotta consider this wasn't CGI or anything. Like, this had a bunch of people typing in all the coordinates in order to make all of this movie work. So you consider if that was 4 seconds and that was 600 coordinates, how long did it take?
Yeah.
For the entire movie was insane. Oh, I would not want to calculate that.
Nope.
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 Not going there.
I mean, you can tell a lot of work went into it. Like, and it's still, it holds up. I mean, it looks extraordinarily dated and it feels extraordinarily dated. But the story itself still holds up. And you can watch it now and go, oh yeah, that's 80s, and that can be your only note about it.
I was received 2 Oscar nominations.
Oh really? Oh, did it? That's unusual
Yeah.
for a genre film.
Yeah, and one of the ones that they refused to actually nominate it for was Best Effects.
Yes, I saw that.
Because they used a computer.
Yeah, and they thought it was cheating. That was the first
Yes.
trivia point that they had.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Jump
Ron,
ahead.
you were wrong!
Jump ahead 20 years or so,
Yeah.
or actually 10 even.
Exactly.
Wow!
Yes. I'm trying to think. I think the 2 nominations, I can't remember the first, but one was on something about the music. There was something that it received music.
Oh, well, no, it should have actually. This was one of the few movies where the music didn't jump out at me so much.
Yes.
There are lots of movies where the music jumps out at me and it sort of pulls me away from the story.
Yep.
This didn't happen with this one, so I thought that was...
Yeah.
Except for Journey. Because...
Well, right at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, during the end credits, that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're already
Saying
out
that
of
was
the movie
awesome.
by then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Unless you're hanging around for the something to happen at the end of the credits.
Yeah, they didn't do Easter eggs so much.
No, not too much.
Not so much. Alright,
That's like...
Deep breath.
You good?
Klaatu, Verada, pull it together.
Okay. So, if you were going to give this out of 5 stars, what would you give it? Bill?
3.5. It's dated. It's bothering Tom.
Tom is having a conniption behind the camera.
But it's still, it's still one of those films that, I probably wouldn't watch it every time I turn around, but, I might come back to it and watch it again once in a while. But yeah, it's, it's dated and, although I don't mind some of the dated stuff, it doesn't necessarily compare to some of the good, the stuff coming out nowadays with all the good effect, the better special effects.
No, we can't compare.
And so forth, so. It took a little bit to get into the movie last night when I watched it, so.
Yeah.
I gave it a 4, and a lot of that was because a lot of the stuff that you see in Tron, you can see nowadays. There's a lot of different references. If you go and look for them, I'll actually put a few more trivia bits in the YouTube comments, because there were a few things that I just didn't even pick up on or notice until I went looking for them. So because of its forward thinking, I find that even though how the story happened was not perfect or anything like that, the fact that it's very forward thinking and not a remake of something, and it's not just another version, kind of Hollywood up kind of deal, and so I gave it a higher rating because of that.
Yeah, I give it a 3, because it is a good movie, but yes, it is terribly dated. And the start is all over the place and quite jumpy, and the disconnect makes it very hard to follow and very hard to slip into. I don't know why it wasn't the case when I was a kid, mostly because I think kids' brains just work differently. But it's still a good movie. I still really enjoyed it, but honestly, it was so 80s. It was so dated that was my main takeaway from this movie, was just how incredibly 80s this thing was. So yeah, watch it, definitely. And I will be getting it for my collection, even if only for nostalgia purposes. But yeah, I enjoyed it, so 3. Alright. Would you like to pick the next one?
Kira.
Do this giant big...
Gattaca!
That's a great movie!
It is actually
Moving
great.
on.
Alright, so the movie we'll be discussing in 2 weeks' time is Gattaca. Do stick around for that. Stick around. You're just going to sit there for 2 weeks until we come back. If you like this, hit the like button. If you want to hear more from us, hit the subscribe button. If you want to join the conversation, leave a comment. Thanks very much. Bye.
Bye.
Pull it together.